So I think one of the biggest new player traps is the hidden potential system, because if you're a fan of other gacha, maybe you play Honkai Star Rail and they have the shard system, which literally just as you get to the breakpoints enhances skills in ways, like the Eidolon system enhances skills in ways that are really important. It's almost like adding small easy A's on top of your character as you get Eidolons. In Epic 7, which is a game that I play, these are less useful. It's typically stats to the group, but there are certain characters who give speed to everyone in the party, and that one is particularly important. These are called speed imprints, and they are very specific characters. In Dokkan, what you essentially get is access to the hidden potential system, and if you're new, you're kind of incentivized to care about this because it's given, you know, this big sprawling tree. If you've ever played Path of Exile or something, or Diablo 4, you know, an ARPG, you look at this and you're like, whoa, there's, you know, this huge trees here. That said, this entire tree is kind of meaningless. You do want to activate it. You do want to go to your characters and press the activate all button here, and you'll spend like the allotted resources to divvy these up. That said, the reason that dupes actually matters because of something that is sort of existing in the Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle meta, which is these skill orbs. You'll get skill orbs passively. You used to get them a little bit easier with a mode called Chain Battle, which has since been retired. But essentially, you get the bronze one for free. You get the second one, the silver skill orb, which has a higher base and maximum stat for getting your character to super attack level 10. And the third one, as you can see here, is from unlocking 2 of the character's hidden potential routes. Just filling this out doesn't count as unlocking. What counts is actually hitting these nodes, which you need copies of the character to get. This is probably the single biggest thing hidden behind the hidden potential system. If you could get all 3 of these, I would say that there's simply no reason to ever pull, but we kind of understand that this is like a luxury item, right? So let's go to this free-to-play unit. See, you can see that I have all of his unlocked because he's free to play. He's grindable, which means you can grind the dupes. You can rainbow him, as it were, and you can get access to the full swath of skill orbs, right? But let's talk about summoning habits and why this kind of doesn't matter. So let's go. So this is LR Bulma. She was the once strongest character in the game. She's one of the strongest supports of all time, and I actually have her rainbowed. And you can see here I've invested basically completely in dodge. She's on a dodge build. Apparently I have an extra attack here. That should definitely be dodge. But she is emblematic of the problem with the hidden potential system, which is that as you get more dupes, you should probably just put them into dodge, which means that your choice as a player doesn't really matter, because this is almost always the correct choice to make. As a new player, if you are not a whale, you should not be pulling for these characters for the express purpose of like duping them out, okay? Because you're gonna see this screen, you're gonna go, oh man, now I can give them extra attack, and you're gonna go, why did I do that? One of the benefits is that, as we call it, Ultra Instinct Bulma with a 24% chance to dodge is pretty good because she's a floater. That said, we look at characters who are maybe a bit newer. Who's a character I pulled semi-recently? You know what, I can go here, AGL. I actually pulled this guy. I pulled him with a dupe. I pulled 2 in the same summon. And as you can see, same philosophy. Straight into dodge, you know, no harm, no foul. Already critting, already attacking a lot. The character's actual makeup is just so filled with positive attack bonuses that actually investing in dodge at all is a complete like no duh moment, right? And the worst part is that every time you get to the point where you're like, oh, maybe I need to just dupe this character and they'll be a little better, you actually look at the situations of the game that would inspire you to get dupes, and they don't matter. Because when I, for instance, go down here to this UI, you know, it doesn't matter how many dupes I have in this character. When Goku and Frieza comes out and you have to hit a 15 million to do damage, he's not breaking that with his biggest damaging ability, which is his ability to turn into this character and do counters. You know what I mean? So ultimately you're not really rewarded for actually duping this character, which would give him access to a bunch of extra stats. Because what's essentially going to happen is he's going to fight Goku and Frieza, he's not going to hit the threshold, and his most damaging facet, which is the counters, are going to essentially be worthless. So I think Dokkan could use with more time in cooking this. If there's one section of the game that needs the biggest rework, it is the hidden potential system. Not just because it limits character choice, because you're just putting them in dodge, but also because dupes are essentially meaningless outside of like big, you know, rainbow showcases where you can see them with their biggest stats. But the difference between a character doing like a 20 million attack stat and like a 27 million attack stat is like, you know, who cares? One of the other new player traps I'd say I see a lot is around characters who don't have many additionals or don't have any additionals in their kit, like this Broly, where someone will say, oh, you know, the character's good, but maybe you need to put some more care into their additionals. If you don't know, because you're a new player, additionals count for double, additionals and crit. So this 5% is actually 10%, whereas this 5% dodge is strictly 5%. That said, there are times, I'm not going to say there aren't times, where the bonus massively raise hitting doesn't matter. That said, if I'm the most honest, if your character relies on 1, proccing an additional, and then 2, the 50% chance for it to actually be a super, you're just not a good character. You should not summon in mind with like the idea of getting an additional hidden potential additional super, because if that is what hinges on this character's survival, they're just not good. Full stop, they're not good. Never, ever, 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 ever. The reason Broly is good isn't because you can put additionals on him. The reason Broly is good is because right now, at this current state, the characters who can damage him are few and far between, and by the time they can, he has a revive. Period. Nothing about getting dupes in this character will matter. You know what I mean? It's a trap. The trap of additionals, the trap of crits, the trap of... The only time... Okay, well, here we go. This is a good character. So I don't have any dupes in this character. The Family Kamehameha still hits for like 50 million. You know what I mean? But with a crit, you could get into those situations where the Family Kamehameha can consistently hit for like 99 million. Just eliminate the boss, kill him outright. This is one of the extremely rare examples of when dupes work. But even then, I would actually call this more of a gimmick. Because sure, you will one-shot the boss. That's fine. The reason Gohan is good isn't because he one-shots the boss. It's one of the reasons, but it's not the sole reason. If he only one-shot the boss, then, I mean, guess who people would still be using? They would still be using this guy. You know, the 8-year LRs. But even at the time, because I was around for the 8-year LRs, remember, I started. Even at the time, this character wasn't considered the best thing in the world, because what could you use instead of them? Well, you could just use the better version of them. This character, which is essentially the same character, but with infinitely more upsides. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a new player trap. Try not to fall into the dupe chase. And remember that typically a lot of your rainbowed characters will end up being dupes you pull from just like big celebration banners. So like here, I didn't have this character at all, and then I had this character duped. You know what I mean? And when the 10th anniversary comes around, they're going to be on the banner again. I'm probably going to get another one. That is how dupes should work for you. It should just be characters who are awaiting easy A's. Here's another one. Characters who are awaiting easy A's that end up on useful banners. And at most, if you're a new player, you look at easy A, or you look at dupes as something you could buy from the red coin shop. But if you are low spending free to play, why would you ever worry about this? Here's another one. This character can now easy A this year. I got him duped. Don't worry about the skill orbs. I put these on here for missions because this character's like dog shit. But yeah, when he easy A's, there's a dupes. You know what I mean? Like, there's a dupe. Anymore, there's 2 dupes. You know? Characters that are just awaiting their easy A's. That is what dupes are for. Here's another one. Try not to chase them. Try not to get, spun out about whether this character needs to be rainbowed or that character needs to be rainbowed. It's effectively a non-point, and as you get deeper into the game and stones become harder to come by, you don't want to spend, look, I have 2,300 stones. I've been saving these stones since Worldwide. I was at 0. It's been, what is it, 5 months, 4 months? And this is my saving. I've pulled one time for 150 stones on the Gotenks special banner. You think I can rainbow Glorio on 2,300 stones if I'm lucky? But is that what you're relying on? No, absolutely not. But yeah, just going back to my team screen here, just to say that in a month's time after a character dropped, what's going to matter more? The fact that you pulled on them to get them like rainbowed so that UI Goku can just like not actually damage Goku and Frieza, or having characters to actually fill in the gaps in the team so that you're more likely to put yourself into positions to succeed. Because let's just I say it all the time, this myth of Dokkan team building is a little funny because people overplay it, where it's like, oh, team building is so stilted. The thing that decides whether you can team build or not is if you have the strong characters, period. Because this team, as I just showed you, looks a lot different if instead of having AGL Goku, Evo Vegeta, if it looks like, this. Like, look at how much more I'm dying. This is a rainbow character, he's rainbowed. I just got him over time, just naturally. I didn't pull for him to rainbow him, he just showed up. But like, look how much worse this team looks. And the reason I pick these characters isn't because they're bad. This character isn't bad in a vacuum. This character isn't bad in a vacuum. But let me tell you, these characters die way more than the ones I just had on. Dies way more than this guy. Dies way more than this guy. This looks so... It gets so much more dire the moment you start limiting your box and trying to chase just one unit. Because that one rainbow unit essentially needs to kill the boss before it ever attacks your slot 2 or 3. Nah. So yeah, don't fall into the new player trap. Don't worry about the rainbow showcases. Leave that to whales. If you want to see a character rainbowed, leave that to truth. Try to instead prioritize summoning on advantageous banners. And that'll be the last point I make. So say you're a big fan of this this Boo here. Alright. You're a big fan of this Boo. You also want Glorio, right? Glorio looks good here. So what you do instead, if you're someone who's chasing this Boo because you really value him, even if you like Daima Goku, you might just look at this and be like, well, the smarter play for me odds-wise is to try and pick up the stronger character, one, but also I might hit this guy. Also, I might hit this guy who's probably going to easy A in this celebration, right? Like, I might hit this guy who might easy A soon as well. This is how you should be plotting out as a new player. You don't want to ever pull for just the dupe. You want to pull for value. And the value comes from assessing these situations and making use of the chance rather than, burning your free-to-play stones on that chance. You want to cast the widest net possible when you play gacha games. That's going to do it for me, though. Subscribe to join the club, like if you liked the video. We'll go make it. Peace.